Am I personally liable for the debts of my LLC? My name is Andrew Ayers. I'm a business law and estate planning attorney with offices in Edina, Minnesota and New York City. Today, let's take a look at personal liability for your LLC debts. It's one of the most common questions I get, and it's a very important issue that you need to understand if you're setting up an LLC. So it's one of the most common questions I get when someone contacts my office about creating an LLC. So we're creating an LLC, which is a limited liability company. And the person setting up the company says, am I going to be liable for the debts of this LLC personally? So what that means is if the business gets sued, can they come after my debts? So as a general principle, the debts of an LLC are not going to be your personal debts. However, there are a lot of exceptions to this rule, and it really depends upon your business and what you've signed and how things have been going. So let's say you're like many of my clients and you're getting ready to open your first business. And we're going to call up the Department of State. We're going to set up an LLC. We're going to do our filings. We want to make sure we're doing an operating agreement with initial writings and resolutions. We want to make sure this is a properly formed LLC. When we put together all of those documents, that says to a court or anybody else who's looking at this business, it doesn't seem like Jane or John is using this LLC to avoid their creditors. It doesn't seem like it's fraudulent. It seems like a real business. You're actually involved. Maybe you're selling a product and you have a warehouse, all involved in your business and you're ready to go. So in those situations, if somebody's looking at it, they're going to say that LLC, that seems like a legitimate LLC, which is why we want to make sure we are filling out all of the proper documents when we create our LLC. But as you get started, you're probably going to be confronted with the first thing if you're going to have an office space, and that is the office lease. So if you're running your business out of your home, this may not come up. But let's say you ran it out of your home for a while and now you're growing and you're either moving to a storefront or you're going to rent an office and you're going to have employees working in an office. When you sign that first lease and your LLC is brand new, it doesn't have a lot of bank statements, it doesn't have a credit history, there's a good chance that the landlord of your first lease is going to want you to sign what we call a personal guarantee. If you've signed that personal guarantee, then you are actually personally liable for that debt. Even though it's really an office space for your business, it's not your personal office space. It's not you're running your home items out of it. You're actually going to an office like I'm sitting in right now. Even though it's for your business, if you sign a personal guarantee, that means if your business is unable to pay the rent for that office, then you will be personally liable for that debt, even though it relates to the business. You'll also run into this in some other contexts with banking and lending documents when you first start out your LLC as well. If you're going to take some money from a bank, maybe take a loan or create some credit cards, there's somebody else is investing. Many times, if it's a brand new company without any earnings history, without any proven track record of what it can earn, whoever's going to lend you the money will also want a personal guarantee on that debt that they're lending to you. So they want to make sure that they can be repaid, and so they'll make this a personal guarantee, make that a provision of any loan documents, any financing agreements you may sign off on. Now, those situations aside, generally other debts of your business are not going to be secured by you personally. So, for example, if you're renting an office space sign, so we have an advertisement that's advertising your services in the front of the building, that's not often going to be personally guaranteed. If you've incurred other expenses, let's say you're filling up your warehouse, you're buying the products, it's often going to be tied to your inventory and your receivables, not necessarily personally guaranteed. However, you will find, especially as you start your business out, that many companies are going to ask for that personal guarantee to see if you'll give it to them. And my advice to you is going to be, whenever you can, avoid that personal guarantee because you don't want to be on the hook personally for LLC debts. Now, there's another kind of liability that you're going to be unable to avoid using an LLC as well, and that is when you've done something extremely wrong. So let's say you're working for your business and you accidentally shoot somebody, you accidentally stab somebody, let's say you get in a fight on the job. These kinds of debts are not going to be protected by your LLC because that's not considered part of your employment. So if your job is a house painter and you're painting a house and then you get in a fight with the neighbor and you stab them, they're going to sue the LLC, but they're going to sue you personally as well. And you're not going to be able to hide behind the LLC and say, wait a second, I was just acting in my capacity as a painter, as the owner of this LLC. Your job is a painter, not to be stabbing neighbors. So it seems like an extreme condition, something that's almost laughable, but that's the reality. Is we can use this LLC to protect you from many kinds of liabilities. However, there are always going to be things that you cannot protect yourself from. The same principle applies if you're in an industry where you have a professional license. So you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a certified accountant. Let's say you're working in the construction industry and you've been licensed by the local consumer affairs department. When you have that license, there's usually a separate procedure for when you've done something that doesn't stand up to the standards of being a licensed professional. It's almost a malpractice. And in that case, the LLC will not protect you from something you should have known how to do by virtue of being licensed. And that's why we have licensing boards and licensing statutes, so that we can make sure we're protecting the public and not having just anybody practicing law or having anybody in the hospital doing open heart surgery. So hopefully you can see from a few of these examples that generally you're not going to be liable for the debts of your LLC personally. However, there are situations like a personal guarantee or a specific malpractice claim, or if you've signed that personal guarantee or you sign another document where you agree to be liable, where the LLC would not protect you. If you have more questions or you'd like to talk further, you can go to my website, andrewmayers.com. There's a red legal strategy session button on the front page. If you click that, you'll be taken to my scheduling page where we can set up a legal strategy session. It's a 15 or 20-minute phone call where we can go through your questions and give you ideas of some next steps. I hope you liked this video. You can hit the thumbs up or the like button below. You can subscribe on YouTube for future episodes. And I hope when you're setting up that LLC, you understand what you can be personally liable and what things you won't be personally liable for.